This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
A warm welcome to a very beautiful African sunrise here at Ambion Ngala. And we are currently sitting in this beautiful dry riverbed, and just to our east you can slowly see the sun is starting to show, and look at all the different hues of colors in the background. Might even notice there's quite a few birds also calling in the back, but I'd just love to invite everyone to come and join us on this live safari here in the African bush. As we're sitting here, we can hear some of the birds calling, and we're trying to listen out for possibly any of the predators, maybe a leopard rasping, maybe a lion calling, maybe even the snorting of an alarm call in the distance. But I think this morning might be a little bit of a quieter morning, but of course often with beautiful things to see as we go along. So I just wanted to welcome everyone again. So I'm Nikki, going to be your ranger today, and with me on the camera is Owen. Now, just to let you know what our plans are for this morning is we decided let's just come past this dry riverbed. There were the pride of lions that Eric saw yesterday was not too far away from here, so we don't know where they've moved during the evening. They're not at the last area they were seen, so maybe there's a chance they could have come more in a northerly direction from where they were last seen, and that's why we're driving this riverbed, because at least if there's a pride of at least 10 lions crossing over, we'll hopefully be able to see the tracks in the sand here. But as we were driving, we just decided, look at this beautiful sunrise. We can't just drive past it, we have to stop and show everyone. Megan, I know it's absolutely beautiful. It's definitely my favorite time of the day. The early part of the day, like that first hour after the sun, or just before and after the sunrise, and then that hour before sunset. It's just because of all the different colors, and it's so beautiful. I mean, it's hard to describe this even, because you can see it contrast with the dark shades of the trees, like in the foreground, but then in the background, you'll notice the different hues of blue, gray, pink, purple, and a little touch of yellow and orange. In the meantime, while we're still waiting for the sun to come out, apparently the sun's already up where Mike is at Prideland, so let's send you across to him.
Sunrise it is. Look at that bronze orb in the sky. It's very, very uncommon for us to see a sunrise like this, where there's so much haze that we can actually see the whole sun. It's incredible. What a way to start a morning. I can't wait to see what else the morning brings us. We've actually even got some elephants in the clearing next to us. Fantastic. My name's Michael Anderson. Behind the camera is Seb. And of course you're joining us here at Eco Training Pridelands Conservancy. And as I said, it's going to be a wonderful morning. As you can see, that sunrise is just starting something in my heart, which just tells me that this is going to be a wonderful day. And with that sunrise, we've also got a couple of elephants that have joined us in the last few minutes, which is fantastic. And you can see they're feeding in this slightly open area here. I think they are a sign of lots more animal madness today. I hope that we're going to have a really busy morning. But for now, they're just having some breakfast. As you all know, it is the most important meal of the day. We can hear them all around crunching through these thickets, the edges of the thickets. These are all sickle bushes. Quite nutritious, quite delicious, but not particularly soft and green. Very sticky. butterfly, I'm glad you're enjoying our morning. I mean, with that sunrise, with the elephants, everything is just perfect. I couldn't wish it any different myself. The sun is starting to change now. It's starting to get a little bit brighter, a little bit more wonderful. I could actually watch this scene all day. In fact, I wish I could just make it stop right here. That's it. Just let's have the whole day like this. It's absolutely amazing. So yeah, because of the wind we had the last couple of days, dust kind of blew off. It's actually very clear now. We had a little bit of rain yesterday, but the dust has blown a bit further away towards the horizon, and it's made this nice orange sunrise. These elephants are enjoying the fact that there was a bit of rain, though. It's washed all the dust off the grasses, all the dust off the trees and branches, and so they can feed without that gritty, sandy taste. I'm sure they're quite used to it, but it must be quite fresh for them. Must be a nice feeling. Everything just looks a little bit more, alive. Even though it's still very, very dry, everything just looks a little bit more alive this morning after that little bit of drizzle we had. Well, we're going to keep enjoying this beautiful sunrise and these elephants, and we're going to send you over in the meantime to Raymond with some giraffe.
Good morning, everybody. We are at Djuma Private Game Reserve. It's a wonderful day today. There is nothing on the sky. It's clearly. My name is Raymond, together with Theo, right on the cameraman. So we are facing with the giraffes, right over here where they are browsing and enjoy their early breakfast. It's a wonderful day as well. I needed to want to compete about the sunrise. It's a very, very nice sun as well as where we are. You can see clearly the color of the giraffe, how beautiful it is. All of them that tell us they are unique. Each and every one have got its own stripe. If you can look them very carefully, they are unique stripe. And evenly the color, you can see all of them, each and every one. The other one is lighter, the other one is a little bit darker, and the other one is more darker. So it's easy for us that we can manage to identify it is a male or female, no matter how far it is. Oh, good, gorgeous, look at them. Look, that female one, how pretty she is. She's pretty as it's a female. I know every time and again. We don't say for the guys that they are beautiful or they are pretty, but they are handsome. But all of them for us, they are gorgeous. Look so pretty. Give you just a chance for us to hear the birds. Yes, that's a lovely morning today for everyone around over this side. Evenly the sky, it's clear, no cloud at all, just a little bit breeze that's going to west. So those birds, you hear them? Okay, guys, I will send you to pin for sunrise.
So we've still got the sun, and what I wanted to point out to you is that dark spot on the sun. Can you see that? That's amazing. I've never been able to notice that before. That looks like a sunspot. So there's a patch on the sun which is slightly cooler, and that's to do with magnetic variations and inversions of magnetic fields. It's all very technical, and I'm not sure I completely understand it, but it's amazing to be able to see it on film. Can you see that? That's incredible. And every now and again you can see birds in the far distance flying through this golden orb. It's amazing. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. I've never seen that before, up close like that. I've heard about it, but that's amazing. So these kind of things can cause all sorts of weather patterns on Earth as well. When there's sunspots, there's changes in temperatures, and there's often solar flares that come after that, and that causes obviously our weather. There's also an elephant now moving into our sunrise, which is super, super beautiful. Look at that. Wow. Good morning, Africa. What a good morning. And this elephant is also enjoying this phenomenon. I wonder what, maybe it's gonna make something extra special for us today. That sunspot and these elephants. Oh, there's more even coming into the clearing. Look there, you can see nice and close what they're chewing on. These are sickle bushes, which are important. They have a lot of nutrition under the bark. And they're really important for areas like these. This is ex-farmland. So this area was cleared at some point for probably cattle grazing, many, many years ago. And now that it's returning to nature, there's all these sickle bushes that are termed woody pioneers, which take over these cleared areas, and they actually rejuvenate the soil by fixing nitrogen from the air into the soil. It's also very technical, but once they've fixed the nitrogen in the soil, they've made the soil more nutritious, then the elephants can go and eat it and get all the goodness. And the elephants are actually pushing over. There's another elephant at the back there which is pushing over a whole branch to get to whatever was underneath it. It actually used its tusks there to lift up a branch, and now look what it's doing. It's digging around in there. It's probably going to use its feet to snap up some roots and small plants. Oh, and there's a drongo. It's also come to join. Wants to get a little taste of some insects that are being disturbed out of the grasses here. Remember, elephants look destructive when they break things and they push trees over, but as you see there, it just pushed a bush out of the way that had previously been knocked down by an elephant, and underneath there's a little micro habitat, insects and all sorts of little things that the birds can eat once the elephants get there. There might be rodents that live in little sheltered burrows there. There's all sorts of cool stuff. So elephants they're ecosystem engineers, keystone species. They stop any one tree or plant from dominating an area by constantly feeding on whatever is most plentiful. So it's really, really important to have them, around in the bush. Critter, I agree with you. There must be something in that bark which the elephants find tasty. The other day we were at a tree, a knobthorn that had been debarked by some elephants. And, it was quite freshly debarked, and I decided I would try some of it. It was not great. I'm not going to lie. My taste buds do not appreciate knobthorn bark, but the elephants seem to love it. You see that whole strip of wood that's coming out of its mouth there that's been completely debarked? It's eaten the outside part, and then this is probably going to fall out of its mouth, having been used. There you go. Just get that little last bit in there, like a toothpick. There it goes. Now it'll pick up the next mouthful and keep moving. Critter, there's something. I mean, there's lots of sugary sap. I mean, it doesn't taste very sweet to us, but it's definitely filled with nutrients and sugars coming up from the soil, the roots, and of course the leaves photosynthesize the sun's energy into starch and other nutrients for the tree. So there's good stuff in there. Emma says, like French toast for elephants. Yes, it's delicious. It's like French toast with a little bit of syrup. I don't know, how do you have your French toast? I like mine with a bit of tomato sauce, sometimes a bit of syrup, honey. Oh, these elephants are definitely enjoying it, that's for sure. Maybe they're having a savory morning, I don't know. It's amazing just to watch them. This is such a nice open area that we can really watch their trunks move around and manipulate and pluck little leaves and snap off twigs. It's amazing to be able to watch them with this sort of clarity. I look content this morning. I don't know about you guys, but I'm content this morning, just like these elephants. Look at those soft eyes. They look so calm. In the meantime, Lauren's also out and about and watching a sunrise. Let's go and say hi.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to your sunrise safari. It wouldn't be a sunrise safari without at least taking a look at the sunrise, which is a little bit higher in the sky now, so it's slightly harsher than it was before. Now, I am really not too far away from the hyena den. We're almost there, but first things first, my name is Lauren, and I do have Craig on camera. It's an absolute pleasure to have Batman back. Batman is back in town. So, it's a very pleasant morning here. And there's lots of talk about the hyena den and the possibility that there could be an additional cub. Now, I'm not sure about this, to be honest, because many people visit at different times throughout the day, and not everybody follows the hyenas maybe as closely as we do. So I'm going to go and investigate, and hopefully the cubs will be out, and hopefully there'll be an adult around. Of course, if there's not an adult, or at least an older sub-adult, a babysitter. Sutu is younger. She's not classified as an adult, but she was there yesterday. So she's still a babysitter, a looker-outer for the younger cubs. So at least if one of them is around, we can stay and we can actually spend some time there. So I'm heading there now, and fingers crossed we'll get some cub action. Believe it or not, one of you, thank you so much for sending the screenshot, took a screenshot of the two boys out yesterday. And just in the background, at the very entrance to the hole, you can see a tiny little black head of Corky's cub. So it was there the whole time, we just didn't see it. I think it just popped its head up and went back down again. But to all you eagle-eyed viewers, thank you so much for spotting that. But if no one's there, I will go on a bumble and definitely come back again a little bit later. It's not such a chilly morning this morning, which means they could potentially be out on those very, very cold mornings. They are tucked up inside in their lovely little snuggle puddles in the den. I've still got a little bit to go until we get to the den, I'm afraid. Sir 50, yes, very sneaky. I didn't spot it, I really didn't. But you can just see in the bottom of the corner that Corky's cub little head popped out. Okay, so we've just got a little bit to go until we get there, and fingers crossed there's some hyena action.
Yes, I believe that you're going to get those hyenas on the most active. We are still on our way. I just want to make a circle on the boundary to go on the south, going up towards where last night we saw those buffalo kill. If it is still active, I will be happy if I find something right over here. Therefore, we'll stop talking about it. I won't pass anything which is so interesting. So while I'm driving, if I get something interesting, we'll stop doing that. But my plan is to go just a boundary to check if is there any extra animal which is so interesting getting in our property that we might follow it. If we find it, we'll find it. If we missed it, we missed it. But we're going to check if that pride haven't come to join those 3 female ones to enjoy their meal. If there are still 3, it's still fine. So while we're driving, yeah. Still checking if anything have come. Is it a tough track for it is for the cats. Most of the cats in the morning they're still hunting So it is not easy that you can get a track immediately and you get that animal. You might find that track, maybe it's almost about 2 hours, 3 hours ago. So you need to relocate those boundaries, those roads that it goes, this one is crossed, yeah, it's crossed or doesn't cross. If it's crossed, therefore you have to go out again, trying if it's there. If it doesn't cross on your area where you are, you can get in a bush and trying to see if it is. Okay, I'll send you to Ngala, guys. We're still trying to check on our boundary as much as possible, as soon as possible. Therefore, we'll do something else if there is nothing.
We just decided that the riverbed is probably going to be one of the places where we're going to spend most of the morning, because we haven't seen any other tracks or signs of the pride. We have seen tracks of leopard crossing over the riverbed, but they don't look particularly too fresh to follow those tracks. So we're going to carry on. But there's a little saying that we use here in Ngala: when in doubt, use the riverbed, because it's just such a beautiful scene, but also it's a big transition area from one side to the other. So when animals need from this side to come this way, they'll have to cross here, and hopefully we'll be able to see some of the tracks. And as Raymond's saying, big or small, whatever we can get. There's quite a few elephant tracks in here as well. Would love to see a herd of elephants. But as soon as we get out of the river, possibly zebra, wildebeest, giraffe, waterbucks, and more of the common species. There's also quite a few big trees near the riverbed, and from here, with the sunlight on them, is where we look out for possibly leopard up into the tree. Maybe if there was a kill, they'll drag it up into the tree. Maybe hyenas down at the bottom. Not too sure, but it is a beautiful scene. Just look at that right in front of us. And I'd love to know from some of our viewers, those that have visited Ngala before, or James, if a leopard's on your wish list, I'm going to definitely try and see what we can do. No guarantees, but we're going to try absolute best. So every morning that we head out there, it's like a fresh start to everything. Animals that were in a certain area the day before have moved, but I think let's try and see if there's a good chance of leopard, possibly even lion. And if we do see some of the smaller cat species or smaller predators, we'll also definitely see if we can try and get them. Now, just to give you an idea where we are in the riverbed in relation to the rest of the reserve. So pretty soon, if we do find anything and we do take a bit of time, I'd like to show you on the map and show you where we are in relation. But just to give you an idea, we are driving in a north and easterly direction, so we're heading more towards the eastern side of the reserve. And what we're trying to do here now, the lioness with the two small cubs were here yesterday, but this is also an area where leopards like the Makoti male, maybe the Nyala female, her youngster, could be moving around in this area. Early part of the morning, maybe going on to the side of the bank to enjoy that bit of sunlight. Just don't know yet, so we'll have to just carry on and hopefully be rewarded with something. Another way, big or small, if you do see some of the smaller things, because I know a lot of our viewers have been on these drives for many years, some only a few months, others a few days, but I would really love to show you some things that hopefully is not something common that you see every day. So that's going to be our goal for this morning. So let's see if there's maybe a chance of some elephants in the river. But in the meantime, while we are going to look for elephants, let's send you across to Mike, because he has elephants.
So we've found that it's actually a whole herd of elephants. I wasn't sure if it was just a couple of bulls, but there, as you can see, there's lots of babies as well moving through these thickets. It's really, really beautiful. See, this one's trying to suckle. Look at that. Also having some breakfast. So you might find that at least 2 of these youngsters are both from that same mother elephant. They usually give birth every 3 years or so. So sometimes you'll even find 3 generations of youngsters from one mother. One will be newly born, one maybe about 3 years old, and another one maybe around 6, 7 years old. So it's really, really cool. It's beautiful to see them all together like this. And there's so many birds also following this herd as they move through these trees and thickets. So many birds are just fluttering past them, catching any insects that are being disturbed. Oh man, it's so pretty. It looks like they've been at water at some point, maybe early this morning or maybe late last night, because they've got a few dark trunks. It looks like they've been in the water. And there's another elephant pushing over another tree. It looks like maybe a sickle bush again. Goodbye, sickle bush. You did your job. And now it's time for the elephant to eat some roots. The roots are really nutritious at this time of year. Trees are often storing the energy in the roots. It's actually not a sickle bush. It looks like a bush willow. Look at that. It's actually lifting it right up and trying to break off that root. That's really awesome. So remember, the trees have lost all their leaves because there's not much rainwater and it's not too warm. So they've literally stored all of their nutrients in their roots at this time of year and under the bark. So they're trying to get at those roots. That's where the good stuff is. It's also to protect them from fire. I'll tell you that in a second. Ooh, I am struggling to hear you, Emma. I know there was a question, and I'm excited to answer the question. Oh, can elephants wiggle their toes? Annie, I'm not sure that elephants can wiggle their toes. If you look at an elephant's foot, I don't know if we'll be able to see it in this long grass, but it's just basically one long column, and the toes are sort of surrounded by this fleshy pad. Maybe you know what they can do. When they put their foot down, you see their whole pad sort of spreads, and the toes probably spread a little bit as well, just to support the weight, but they certainly can't wiggle them like we can. They don't have separate toes, so to speak. All their toes are fused into one column, and that's to support their weight. If their toes were too flexible, it would be very uncomfortable to hold that heavy weight. But that's an awesome question. Something that's very similar to elephants in their foot structure is called a rock hyrax, and they can wiggle their toes just a little bit. Right. I was saying earlier about trees protecting themselves from fire as well by storing energy in the roots. You see how dry it is now. When the spring comes, around September, October, we start to get lightning from the big storms bringing rain, and any of those storms might set off a fire in this dry brush, which is quite natural and quite normal. You know, that's one of the defining features of a savanna, is regular fires that burn and keep trees from dominating too much. And if the trees were storing the energy above the ground, if their fire came through and destroyed them, the tree would die. But when they store all that energy in the roots, it means that these trees can survive bushfires, which is a fantastic adaptation. Unfortunately, it doesn't help them to survive these elephants. These elephants seem to be pulling up quite a few trees over the last few days that we've been watching. There, look, there's another branch that's just being put into the mouth, and you'll see that branch will slowly work its way through the mouth and come out the other side with no bark on. Super cool. And those tusks that we've always talking about recently, how they use them as tools. Snap the branches over those tusks and use them to dig up the roots sometimes. It's very interesting when you see a whole elephant or a massive elephant on its knees, literally tusking the ground, which is something also do to intimidate rivals and potential predators, but mostly do that to dig up the roots. Look, you can see it's pulling out the branch on the other side there with its trunk, trying to take away that woody material. The woody stuff is not so great. They don't need that. All they want is the bark. See, there you go. Yuck. Don't need that. It's like when you've got a piece of chewing gum, and after a while it loses its flavor, and then you're like, nah, I'll get a new piece of chewing gum. This one's no good anymore. I wonder if it's really good for their teeth. Well, it's definitely not good for the longevity of their teeth, but maybe it keeps their teeth kind of clean. You know, they say chewing like chewy things helps you to keep your teeth clean. Maybe it has some benefits. Certainly if they eat too much of this, it damages their teeth over time. And you find in places like the Okavango Delta, where it's much wetter throughout the year and there's lots of soft vegetation, Elephants tend to live longer because their teeth last longer. Oh, there's a little one coming towards us. Want to say hi? Say good morning? Very cute, these little things. Baby elephants are the best. We watched one learning to use its trunk the other day, and it was the funniest thing ever. It was watching the adults, twirling their trunks around branches and grasses to pull them up, and the little one tried it but lost control of its trunk, and the trunk was just doing a windmill, and it didn't know how to stop it. It looked like it was really asking for help, like, how do I stop this thing? It was very funny. Look how tightly they're holding their ears to their necks because it's cold. They're not flapping their ears at all. They're trying to stay as warm as possible by keeping their ears close to the body, keeping those blood vessels from being exposed to this cool air this morning. Always find that it gets a lot colder as the sun rises for that first hour in the morning. And that's because of the movement of air. As the sun warms the air low down, it rises, and then colder air from higher up takes its place. It's called anabatic wind. It's very, very cold. Oh, there's a big elephant. Maybe one of these females must be the matriarch. I'm not sure which herd this is. We've got two herds that frequent this area. Oh, look at that. I don't know if you could hear that. There was a low rumble, and the elephant opened its ears and looked this way, and the young one was scurrying off. I don't know if these two elephants that were in the screen there a moment ago, if they maybe had a little bit of an argument at some point last night and they're still figuring it out. Elephants are incredibly social, and they definitely have disputes every now and again. And anyway, who knows what happened. Morning politics. But as I was saying, there's two elephant groups that frequent this area of Pride Lands close to our eco-training camp, and one of them belongs to the matriarch, who we've called Elisha Keys because she's got a keyhole-shaped hole in her ear. And the other one is Susan's herd. I'm not sure if any of you remember Susan. Susan is that young female who's very, very interested in socializing with us, shall we say. I don't know if that's the right word. She's very sassy. Sassy Susan, we should call her. But yeah, I'm not sure which group this is. I haven't seen Elisha. She might be here. Oh, there's a small bird of prey flying off. Yeah, so we're going to wait with them a little bit longer just to see who they are and enjoy it.
Wild Earth relies on support from viewers like you to carry on broadcasting our daily live shows. A small donation goes a long way in helping us on our mission to connect the world with nature. Please visit our support page to see how you can help and become part of the Wild Earth family.
Just as we were driving, there was quite a few birds that we really wanted to stop and just show everyone, but unfortunately they flew off. It was known as a white-crested helmet shrike. And especially the area we're going into now. So remember earlier we were in the river, so now we're on the southern side of the river. So we came out of that riverbed, and now we're driving on this side with the river being on our left. And so this particular section has these open areas. So you'll see it's this pocket of dense cluster of trees, and then suddenly it opens up. So these open pockets is where we could be looking out for the more common animals, but also if there's any wild dogs in the area, or even cheetah, they prefer more of an open area. So like you can see there. There's one of my favorite birds that just flew up here. I don't know if we'll be able to get it, but I'm going to absolutely try. So I'm going to move forward, and we're going to try our best to see if we can put it in the frame. I just want to try and see if I can find it. It's called an African hoopoe. Beautiful bird. Let me just see. Oh, and let me know if you have a... Oh, there it is. Okay. I can actually see it. So see where there's a dove up here on the right. So we're gonna try and get all the viewers to watch with us. So let's do this. So Owen, if we can focus, as I said, that the African hoopoe just flew off. But let's just focus on that dove that's sitting at the very top of the tree there. Just to have a And look at it. Normally it's whenever you try and do a little bit of birding, of course the birds don't want to play along, but if we have a look at this dove, it's hard to see the different colors, but if you notice on the back, there's these little streak of almost a rufous orangey color, a lot of gray, and little tips of white at the end of the tail feathers. Now this dove here is referred to as a laughing dove. Now often if you hear them calling in the morning, it's like a just while we're having a look at the dove, I just wanted to get the book out just to show you this African hoopoe. So while I quickly find the bird, so I'm going to ask if Owen can move the camera straight here. I'm glad the viewers enjoyed my dove impersonation. Not funny, my words this morning. But so right over here, you'll notice quite a beautiful bird with a erected crest with a bit of black around the end, quite long, slender bill that's bent downwards, and then quite a bit of white and black around the feathers. Now, the sound, I can impersonate this even more than dove, is like whoop, 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 hence the name, the African hoopoe. And whenever they fly, they have a very lazy flight pattern, so they fly like this. So basically, let's say my hand was this African hoopoe, so basically they fly like this whenever they do fly. Quite a spectacular bird to see. Now they use that long bill sometimes to probe into the crevice of trees to hopefully find some insects. You can see this one looks like it might have caught a spider, but hopefully we can see it. I can hear it calling, but maybe let's see if we can get it. I'd really love to show everyone. Let's see. JT, I hope we do find this bird. They are beautiful and would be amazing to see. So as I said, I can hear it calling, but sometimes they don't. You can see them in the distance, but as soon as you get close, they just tend to move off. Let's just give it one more go here. We'll just slowly drive this section. And if nothing, then we'll have to unfortunately carry on. Don't think this African hoopoe wants to play along, but who knows, maybe we can find some more as we carry on. But what's really nice, even in the morning, whenever you track, is like you always try and get the sun between where you are and the tracks, because then as you drive, you'll see different shadows, or you can actually see the outline of the track because of the angle of the sun and the light on the track. So in the morning, driving into the sun, especially when you're tracking, it's quite a nice thing to do. Of course, in the afternoon, it might be too harsh, but you'll drive away from it, and hopefully, as the sun starts setting, drive into it so that you can be able to see those tracks and track from there.
Yes, I believe, Nikki, it's not the first time to be like that. So next time we'll be lucky. So we are still in Tswalu Private Game Reserve, right over here in front of my face, or in my front of me. We have got some species, 2 different animals, which were baking something over here. So we have got, most of the time when we're driving or when we're on a show, you can see some other animals keep on chewing, like That chewing gum, it is end when it's getting hungry. So that means that animal, it's a 4-chamber stomach. But those one, sometimes they're just taking food straight to the stomach. That we call it is a single-chamber stomach. So as they are not ruminating their food, you can identify what they were still eating. So right over here, I've got some buffalo dung, which is also 4-chamber stomach. The buffalo dung, you can't identify what were they eating. They're rechewing that food, regurgitate, until it becomes softer, sort of like a small powder. So long time ago, the people were using buffalo dung or cow dung as a floor polish. So that smelling It's a help you to stop for flu. If you inhale this one, that bacteria of a flu, it doesn't win by inhaling this one. It's a protection you against the smelling. And as it is like a powder, it can't make flame if you burn it. If you burn this one, it's smoking very small, just only a smoke. It can't make a flame. That they use this one as the mosquito coil, because they were working very hard when they're coming back to keep on waving the hand like this because of mosquito. It was a little bit difficult. So they just burn this one. The small one can burn until the following day because it can't make flame. It's just, and that smoke as well, it was fantastic for them. Even today, if you can use this one, you won't get flu so easily. That is, doesn't need any for you to go to the doctor, whatever as it is. It was everything naturally. That by nature, people were living very fantastic life. So this one, it is a single chamber stomach. You can identify what they were eating. It is lots of log, lots of grasses. If I double check as well, it's sort of like leaves. That is an elephant dung. The elephant, as they're eating everything, their dung becoming sort of like a very, very good medicine as well. So that tells us African people long time ago, they managed to live without any pills, any tablets, with just only the trees and nature and the grasses and everything. They build houses through to everything by the nature. So this one, as you see very carefully, it was. Michael, yes, I can touch and I can eat, I can drink it. It is so fantastic because I'm a really, really African. Evenly to eat sometimes, I can eat like this. Can see? It is not dung for me. It is a medicine. Yeah, you can't believe it if you are too far. It is a medicine. So this one, evenly if I'm hungry in a bush, I find a fresh elephant dung. If I squeeze it and then I sip the juice, I'll be becoming stronger as I was not, as I will be not hungry. And I can manage to walk more distance after once I did drink this one. So this one, you can, if you got a headache, you got a hangover, you got sinus, you can burn this one and inhale the smoke. So we'll try to relocate as we're going this side to go past the dam and then go straight to the lions.
We have a tower of giraffes. Females and a youngster. Look at that youngster with their fluffy, fluffy ossicles. Now we're on quarantine. I think Raymond had a giraffe earlier, and there's 4 of them. 3 in front of us and another one off to the side. But we have been out of action, both Batman and I, because he brought his superpowers, and I have something very wonderful to share with you all. Oh. The snare is gone, everyone. The snare stroke wire is removed from Swazi's neck. How do I know that? Because Craig and I were both part of that mission. We spotted Tswazi this morning in camp. Immediately, we alerted the vets. The entire team from the Sabi Sands were here, and together we have removed the wire around the neck. Now, it is a wire with a loop. and is gone. Tswazi is absolutely fine. He's completely fine. There was no sort of injury from the wire. It wasn't digging into his neck, and I can confirm 110% that it's gone. Tswazi is now resting with the vets, and he'll be up and about in no time. That was a good piece of news to deliver, so that's why we have been missing in action from the drive, because we spotted him this morning and we worked with the vets to remove that. So I hope you're all very, very happy with the good news. These giraffes are really happy. She is definitely happy, aren't you? Oh, many of you are happy. I'm glad to hear it. There was a mistaken identity before with regards to Tswazi, but it's 100% gone. The team of us together got it off. And many of you, I always get asked the question, is hyena's hair soft? And I can confirm, yes it is, or at least Tswazi's was. I've never touched a hyena before, but I can definitely confirm that Tswazi's hair is very, very soft. Wonderful experience. I'm very, very happy that that is the case. Butterfly, you are right. It was a team effort. It's been ongoing for some while, but my mission when I came back after leave was to find Tswazi. I know I can find him. I know his little hiding spots. And we got him. We saw him first thing this morning. So, of course, the vet stayed overnight last night, and it's a huge success story. The Sabi-sans had to make sure they do it in the best way that they can do it, that's right for the animal at the end of the day. So I can confirm that wire is gone. That giraffe is definitely maximizing the use of its neck. They are stretching right up. Giraffe's diet in winter obviously has to adapt as well as many of the other species out here. But I have to say, I don't think this winter is going to be as harsh on the giraffes as it could be. Look at it yanking the leaves of the trees. The only other species that could really get the leaves that high would be an elephant if it was to stand up on its hind legs, which against a small, I think it's a cluster leaf over there, is definitely not going to be a good idea. So giraffes really have that advantage to reach leaves and foliage that other species have no access to. They only really have access to it when elephants push trees over. As ecosystem engineers or architects, whatever you want to call elephants, they do push trees over. And it means that delicious foliage is now accessible to other ground-dwelling animals. The only animal that really doesn't help are the giraffes. Okay, I don't quite know where we're going to head now. We're going to take a bumble, and as I do that, we're going to send you across to Mike with those animals I was just referring to.
Our morning is also fantastic. We are enjoying these little elephants who are trying to scare us off. They're so scary. Look at these things. I don't think there's anything more terrifying than this. Oh my goodness, it's charging. Stay still, Seb. Don't move. We're in real trouble here. Sorry, I mean, we should act scared. Oh, you're so scary, you're so scary. Well done, you've chased us. We won't move, I promise. That's right, very successful. It's great to see these little ones with so much spunk. It means they'll be tough ellies growing up. Maybe if this is a female, I think. If it is a female, then she might make a wonderful matriarch one day, protecting her. Oh, scary. Oh, it's chasing us again. This is so cute. This is the cutest thing ever. And yeah, and the young males as well, you know, practicing pushing each other. You'll see them often pushing their heads together. It's super great. Here's another small one, even smaller actually. Oh, scary again. Let's see if this even smaller one gets involved. Oh, hey, whoa, we didn't do anything. Our hands are up. We surrender. Look at this little thing. Do you agree this is probably the cutest cute that I've ever seen? This is a little bit of a big elephant. So this is also a female. She is playing off of these young ones' games. They're not doing anything. We're all good. Oh, actually, is she having a scratch? I'm not sure. See, when elephants open their ears like that, it's to appear larger and also to hear better. We actually noticed something a moment ago, Seb and I. These elephants were all feeding past our car, you know, going behind us, and then all of a sudden just changed direction and started heading back towards camp, like in Ndlovu Dam side. So I wonder if there's not maybe some bulls around. We heard branches cracking some bigger trees. So I wonder if maybe there's some bull elephants that have been following this big herd of females and maybe giving them a bit of stress. As you can see, this one here is also very interested in us. We've got the sun sort of behind us a bit, so maybe can't see very well what we are, but we're not moving. They'll soon forget about us. Look at these cute little things. John is asking whether male elephants always have bigger tusks than females. John, it's not always the case. Some male elephants don't have tusks at all. It's all to do with genetics. So you see this elephant here has got very small tusks, and this is a female, but sometimes females have long, thin tusks. Sometimes they're short like this. And males also sometimes have shorter tusks, but they're usually thicker. They're usually thicker and more robust than the female's tusks because they use them much more for fighting and pushing each other when they're fighting for dominance of mating rights of a herd. So John, generally speaking, the male's tusks are thicker, but not always longer than the females. It's all genetic. It all depended on who the father was. So this one here has got nice short tusks. Very well used though. You can see the ends are blunt like that, which means she uses these tusks, as short as they are, still to gouge the bark and to crack branches. So you can see they're well used. And that's exactly the same as our teeth. And that's just enamel coated ivory, just like our teeth. Very small, very dense. Ours are, but this elephant, those are actually incisors. So you know those teeth that are just on the side of our mouth, just in front of our molars, those slightly longer ones. Sometimes people refer to them as the canine teeth, right? That's what those are there. Oh, Mary, I also feel like I'm one with the elephants. I tell you what, Seb and I was just saying now how incredibly relaxing it is just to sit with these animals and be so close to them, you know. This morning has worked out so perfectly for us because they literally walked out of the sunrise straight next to our vehicle and they've just sat here. And they're all around us, and they come up to us, and it almost feels like they're socializing with us in a way. You know, some of the grumpy elephants, some of them are super happy. The babies are playing with us. When we spend so much time with them, you really do feel like they've allowed you this window into their little part of life. So it's incredible to be able to sit so close to them. Mary, I'm glad you feel that way, and we're glad too. Such big animals. They would definitely move away if they didn't like us, that's for sure. We're just going to enjoy these elephants.
Good morning again from a spectacularly beautiful morning out here at Tswalu Kalahari. It is fantastic having you all with Davy on camera and myself, Dylan. And I know it's going to be another special day. I have no idea what we have in store today, literally. But I know it's going to be a very, very, very special one. And it is such a pleasure having you join us. Those of you that are live with us on these live safaris, it's great. Those of you that can't be or that you may miss ones, maybe you're going somewhere or you're working, please catch up later. It's just great. But while I've got you all, I just would like to say something on a slightly different topic. But I believe it is someone's birthday out there. Adriano is celebrating his 40th birthday today, and it was so sweet. We got the message through, and it says that he's enjoying these live safaris at Tswalu and with all our colleagues at the other places, so much so that he wants to be a ranger in his next life. So that is fantastic to hear that. Adriano, I hope it is an absolutely fantastic day for you. And I'm really, really glad you're enjoying these safaris as much as we do on the ground. So like I mentioned, I don't have a plan for today at all, apart from just enjoying the bush. I'm so addicted to being out here, and I just wish you were all on the ground with me. That would be the best. So we got the whole Shelby family here, and I've got something special in store for you with the Shelbys, but not today. It's going to take in another couple of days. Maybe okay. I'll work on the middle of next week to the end of next week. I'm going to show you something very, very special related to the shell ducks. Yeah, and I think you're going to enjoy that. But that's still a week or so, or let's say a week away. And then the other thing is I'm getting really worried about the change of these seasons. I'm loving it, but why I'm worried about it is my window is really closing fast now for finding all these weird little critters that are normally nocturnal in the summer months, but a little bit more active during daylight hours at this time of the year. We've seen it's starting to get lighter earlier and earlier. The sunset that John and I were filming a couple of weeks ago, now we're missing that sunset just because it's still above the horizon at the end of our drives. And what this means with these longer daylight hours is that your ambient temperatures are slowly climbing. And of course, how that translates into what I want to show you is that these things that are normally nocturnal, that'll come out in this cooler weather, they're also going to start shifting their patterns. So things like African wildcats, porcupines, are going to become more and more challenging for me to find. I'm not saying we're not going to do it. I'm going to give my damnedest best to find them for you. But just please bear with me if I do spend a little bit more time trying to focus on those kind of things and that. And again, like when we are looking for those things, it doesn't mean we cannot see other things at the same time. So I will always be willing to look for fun stuff other than African wildcats or caracal or porcupines, those kind of things. But I think while we're in for a chance, I think we should take that chance with both hands.
So we just had this elephant do something very interesting with its tusks. It actually put a piece of like wood between resting underneath the trunk along the two tusks, and I wondered if it was actually going to try and break it, like, you know, when you put a toothpick between three fingers and you just press it and it breaks it. She didn't manage to, and then she ended up dropping it, but it was very interesting to watch. We were talking about how they use them as tools, so it's wonderful to watch them actually using them in all sorts of different ways. This one here reaching up high into the tree and stuffing what's left of this knobthorn's leaves into its mouth. Oh, that's amazing. You can actually see in its mouth those thorny knobthorn branches, but they've still got some green leaves, so there's good stuff there. That was awesome. We're still so close to these elephants, and they keep changing directions. They go one way, then they go back, but one thing that's always is that they're staying close to us, which is great. And there's another elephant cow just to the left of this one who's got much larger tusks. And you see that her tusks are quite long. Oh, shame. Just pushed a tree right over onto the back of this young one who looks very disgruntled now. Her tusks are large for an elephant female, you know, quite long, nicely curved. See what she's doing? She's using her tusks. They're also pulling this whole raisin bush out the ground. And there's one long root there. Watch this. She's going to actually take that root and snap it over her tusk. See that? Lever it over the tusks and then put that root in its mouth. Delicious. So you've seen them pulling out quite a lot of these sandpaper raisin bushes. So maybe they've also got some nice nutritious roots. I wonder if it's not maybe the fact that these raisin bushes are just easier to pull out because they're kind of small with not so deep root systems. It's very interesting. I'm not sure if you heard that. That was a very loud rumble. That female over there maybe just telling the youngster, hey, don't get too far away. come back. That was awesome. Such a deep rumble. That's an awesome sound. That sound always makes me, smile when I hear it. We hear it so often at the camp at night because of the waterhole. Oh, my goodness, there goes a whole tree. That was amazing. But unnecessary, because she seems like she's going to leave the tree alone now. Or is she going around? Oh no, she's going to go get the branches. That was cool. That elephant cow over there just literally pushed over a whole knobthorn. Usually it's only the males that push down whole trees like that, but she's obviously getting quite hungry, and she was getting frustrated with reaching up, so she decided just to push it down. What we've often found is if there are still green leaves left at this time of year and an elephant pushes over a tree, you'll find if you stay by that tree long enough, all sorts of animals now turn up at that tree. Impalas will come and feed, nyalas, kudus, everything that couldn't reach it before will flock to the tree and start feeding on those branches that they can now reach. It's very, very symbiotic relationship. And I also see a lot of birds also now coming and landing down there by the tree. I wonder if all that disturbance loosened a lot of bugs. Oh, and we're going to send you over to Jared. He's got some lions on the move.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Ambient Pinder Private Game Reserve. My name is Jared, and we've got Marcel behind the camera today. And we've been out and about looking for cheetah and lions today, and we've just managed to find the lions, but unfortunately, it seems like a little bit too late. So we found the 2 mountain lionesses. Oh, there we go. There you could see one of the youngsters with the 5 young cubs. And they are heading up into this mountain where these cubs were most likely born, or we think was potentially the site where they were born, because it's an area that they've been using quite frequently as a den site. Although the age of these cubs now, being around, about 4 months, 5 months now, are too old to be denning, but they still like to come into this area to rest for the day. As they climb up higher, it will be a little bit warmer for them. They'll get far more sun. It'll be a great vantage point for the mothers to be able to scan. I'm not sure if you can see them there, Marcel. They're busy running on the rocks there on the left. But hopefully they're not going to stay up there for too long. But unfortunately, otherwise it's been a fairly quiet morning for us. Haven't seen any signs of cheetah or any of the other prides of lions. We did hear male lions roaring, but in an area that's just too far away from where we are now. Fortunately, that is them. Doesn't mean they're going to stick up there. They might walk up and then come back down. It is also possible that the mothers may leave the youngsters temporarily up there, go for a hunt. Or fetch them. But while we stick with them and see if we can get a better view, I think we're going to head over to NIKKI at Ngala, who's at a waterhole.
I really hope Jared gets another view of those lions. But in the meantime, we can pass down to this waterhole to come have a look and see if there's anything that has come down to drink. Now, right in the middle of this waterhole, there's actually 2 hippos that we saw moving earlier. You might just see the head of the one. Just trying to. So it's right next to that dead tree. There we go, right in the middle of the screen. Now, often with the water like this, I think one of my absolute best things to, sometimes do, especially when I'm on holiday, is to come down to a waterhole and just sit, or any waterhole in particular in a big, beautiful reserve, is I'll just sit down and just wait. You might just hear some of the crested francolins calling. But then you'll sit and you'll just see the animals slowly coming down to drink. And it's all the different times. You'll find in the early part of the morning, it might be the predators, a couple hyena. And as it starts warming up, eventually giraffe, zebra, wildebeest, elephants. And then as they venture off and it starts getting a little bit darker, then you might get waterbuck and hyenas. And then after that, lions and leopard again. So it's just beautiful to see the different times of the day when animals tend to move to water. Have a look at the amount of oxpeckers just landed on top of that hippo's head. We just counted 6 oxpeckers. And what it might be is they're trying to look for some ticks on top of the hippo, especially like around the ears, maybe even around the eye. You notice in that dead tree, there's quite a few of those big nests. And the other day we were talking about a red-billed buffalo weaver, a weaver that builds his nest out of thorns and twigs. And those are the nests of that particular bird. Now, for some of our viewers that might not know a red-billed buffalo weaver, I'll just like to quickly point it out, and then we'll head back to the nest, just so that you know more or less what we are looking at, or what is there. So it's this bird right over here. So just follow the end of the stick. So this black, beautiful black bird with a dash of white and quite a reddish bill. And it's quite a large bird. I mean, probably almost a quarter of the page down. So decent size. But it is a nice waterhole just to be spending some time. What we might do from here is we're going to carry on. There's nothing around the waterhole yet, but hopefully we can find something coming down to the water. Hayden, it is a beautiful, beautiful scene. Hopefully some beautiful animals on their way to come and drink. Hopefully we can find some lions this morning, but apparently Jared's been very lucky and he's got another view of those lions, so let's go across to him.
So we've just quickly looped around a little bit and we've managed to get another glimpse of them before they disappear. But it seems like the cubs are being quite playful, but they have to be quite careful in the area they're busy walking around in to be too playful, because you can see it's quite a steep bank, and tackling each other and jumping on each other's backs, running around is not ideal when it's a long fall down. You'll notice as they're walking up, the mother at the bottom keeps looking down the hill, and I think it's just purely to survey the area to see if there is a hunting opportunity, because even though they have walked away from that area that she's looking towards, if there is a good opportunity, they will most likely take it. But as they're walking up, I'm just having a look at their bellies, and it does seem like they have eaten recently. Whatever they fed on, if they fed on it last night, for example, I don't think it was very big, or maybe they finished feeding about a day ago, because their bellies are pretty full, but not bursting at the seams. So they would take an opportunity to hunt again, but I think for now going to head right up to the top of this hill to relax and heat up. Rosemary, you are right, they are pretty good at mountain climbing, far better than what they are at climbing trees. I think it's a little bit easier to jump from boulder to boulder as opposed to climbing up a tree. This pride, which is the mountain pride, isn't one of the prides that's renowned for climbing trees in the south, so very seldom ever see them up in trees, but they most certainly do like climbing up rocks. Lisa, the area that they're moving into now, I mean, I don't think they're heading up into this hill to necessarily hunt. That being said, in Yala, they will be along the hillside, kudu as well, so if they do come across a kudu and Yala up there, they might try and hunt it. It would be quite tricky, because to run along those rocks and on the steep bank like that would be a bit of a challenge, but it would also be a bit of a challenge for the antelope to get away. So there is a chance that they make a kill while they're up there, but I think most likely they're not heading there to hunt, Lisa. They're probably just heading up there to relax, get on top of one of the rocks. It is a very cold morning. It's one of the coldest mornings in the last couple of days, so they're probably feeling the cold. So I just want to head up to the rock to get the early morning sun. But I have now lost them. Alright, well I think let's stick here, because they mark right on top of those rocks, which will make a fantastic view. And while we wait, we're going to head over to Mike with some ellies.
We've got something very interesting here. We've got a male elephant that's mounted a female. And I think it's another male. I think it's just playing like a dominance thing. I know we can't see it very clearly because it's behind some bushes, but it's super weird. I've never seen this before outside of a waterhole where a male elephant has mounted completely another male elephant. I think it's a male anyway. I can't tell. I'm going to try and see if I can't get us forward just a tiny bit to see if we can't see it slightly better. That was super interesting. Oh wait, it looks like they're moving. Okay, they're going to move. That's good. It looks like they're going to move back into view. So you can see that male elephant there. It's a young-ish male, not too old, but just at that age now where the females won't really want him around too much more. They don't want these young, sort of boisterous males to be pushing around the females and like chasing the younger males and, just being a bit aggressive. They haven't yet learned how to control their strength, which they will do when they spend time with larger male elephants. But that was very interesting. I've never seen that before outside of a waterhole, which is very cool. And you see, we've changed our angle slightly. We drove around the block and came on the other side just to see them out in the open a bit better, because there was lots of branches. And we didn't want to drive next to the road, next to them. As you can see, the road is very close to them. And I didn't want to disturb them, so we went all the way around, and it's actually so beautiful. You can see all those trees that are down there. Those elephants actually pushed all these trees down now, since we've been watching them. So they've been very, very busy. And they're busy now actually plucking at the thinner branches and chewing the bark. It's very important. They all work together, Don't waste anything in the bush. Not that anything would get wasted, to be honest. Termites will come along and eat what's left. Other animals might chew on it. Even things like porcupines might go and chew on those smaller branches to get to that bark. See, this elephant actually looks a little bit wide. I wonder if she's not in the early stages of being pregnant again. It's very awesome to see. She's quite a wide elephant. She's glowing, though. She's glowing. She's beautiful. It's a gorgeous scene, isn't it? The whole family together. Young females and other youngsters, mothers, and then even young males, teenagers who are just at that point where the females might push them out. It's a cool dynamic. I wonder if that's not why the elephants kept changing direction before. Maybe these young males were busy play fighting with each other and was causing a little bit of concern with the mothers. Ooh. So what we're going to do whilst we watch these calm elephants doing their thing, I'm going to send you over to some giraffes that are giving Dylan a bit of a stare down.
I'm just loving seeing these giraffe in this environment. And I know I see them every day in this environment, so that sounds a bit weird. But when you see them on the shot like that, just with these vast open spaces in the distance, and the trees are all much lower than in some of the other areas that you've been seeing giraffe in. It's quite fun. I wonder if this is the same group that we saw yesterday morning. We're quite far from there. We probably, well, actually not that far. In a straight line, we're probably 3 kilometers. So it's quite doable. We tend to find at Tswalu, they kind of tend to stick around certain areas for a couple of days and then move on. So this is a mixed group. There's cows here, there's bulls here, some younger ones. And also what's fascinating, and I wouldn't have a good reason for it, an explanation, but we've seen a greater movement of female giraffe and calves out from the far western side of the reserve. Now I'm talking about 30-40 kilometers away towards this area where we are now over the past couple of months. You used to see a lot of bull giraffe in these areas, these big groups of bulls. But it seems that there's more and more cows moving into this area. So what would be driving that? I have absolutely no idea. Okay, so that one on the left Yeah, the one on the far left, that one. That's watching something. There's something inside these bushes here, down the bottom here. I cannot see for the life of me what it is. I'm just going to stand up, excuse the rocking. But there's something in there, and it could be something small. It doesn't necessarily have to be a predator or anything. These little animals are super sharp, so it could be a steenbok, it could be a warthog, it could be a African wildcat. That would go down like a homesick mole. Oh man, what a morning. What a morning. Every day in the outdoors is a good day. Oh, John, that is a great question. I love that question. John has just asked, how do giraffe warn other animals of approaching danger? So we know the classic stuff, and you would have seen or heard it a lot with our other teams. You know, you get a herd of impala, and they start giving off these alarm calls like that. Vervet monkeys, things like that, and bird calls. There's a whole range of really cool alarm calls that animals give to draw attention to danger. Giraffe are essentially silent animals. They can make noises. I mean, they make some of the weirdest, craziest noises, which I won't even begin to imitate. But they've got a lovely, soft, like a sound if they alert to danger. But you normally have to be quite close to hear that. But certainly what really would draw your attention is their behavior. So they will be standing and staring, and they've got such keen eyesight, but they're also very, very curious animals. So, you know, the body design and their behavior. But if they see something, let's say they've got something in these thickets over here, there's something walking here and they're not sure what it is, they will stand and they will stare and stare and stare and stare until they've satisfied themselves. Okay, yeah, it's not a lion, or it's not a whatever it is, or okay, it's only a warthog, and then they'll kind of like lose interest and move along. So if you're kind of in tune with the animal's behavior like that, that'll be a very, very good indication of what's going on around you. Yeah, but who knows what they saw over there. I see there was a wildebeest that ran out, but about 400, 500 meters ahead of the vehicle, disappeared into the bushes. So, but let's go see what we can find on wildcats or other little things in the meantime.
We're just repositioning for a huge herd of elephants. Now it's a little bit tricky because they're everywhere and they're in the thicket. I'm just trying to find the best view because there's two little youngsters in there somewhere. It's not the best views, is it? This one's moving. You see the fork-tailed drongo's not moving at all. There's a fork-tailed drongo there. I think I'll go forward. The fork-tailed drongos are everywhere, actually, because they're waiting on some delicious snacks that have been stirred up by the elephants walking across the terrain. Okay, I'm going to pull up here and hopefully, oh, there we go. Here's a lovely little window for a youngster. All good, Craig? There. And you can see the drongos are just hovering above, always waiting. Very patient birds. Now, yesterday we had a chat about animal intelligence. And of course, when you think of elephants, that's one of the animals that I'm sure comes to mind when you think of animals being smart. And I mean, human intelligence evolved from earlier primates, and there was a split about 7 million years ago, and then another split around 200,000 years ago, where Homo sapiens, i.e. us, arrived. So, along the lines of evolution, it's been a long path, and it was always thought that sort of bigger brains leads to more complex language, which leads to culture. There's cultures in animals as well. And then in humans, that obviously led to technology, civilization, and then migration. And can hear them crunching all the branches. A very hungry herd. And one theory about why human brain is so exceptional is because it has lots of neurons. And humans are said to have around 100 billion neurons. Now, just to put this into context, chimpanzees are said to have about 30 billion. A mouse is said to have 0.07 billion. Now, let's think about elephants. Elephants are said to have around 260 billion neurons in their brain. That's almost 3 times larger, or more neurons, sorry, than humans. Now you have to think about the size of an elephant's brain. It's actually said to be about 3 times larger than humans. But when you look at sort of brain to body ratio, it's actually on par with humans. So the size of the brain relative to the size of the body and the size of the head, it's on par. So although it's 3 times bigger, you have to think that elephants are a lot bigger than humans, hence why it's a bigger brain, and hence why it has more neurons, but they have almost 3 times the amount of neurons as humans, which is fascinating. So I'm going to try and see if we can drive a little bit further, see if we can get some better views, and you guys are heading over to Raymond with these lions.
Yes, I believe that you did enjoy the Ellis. Now we are on a sighting at the Djuma Private Game Reserve, together with the pride of lions, which are now competing for feeding. As we said, from last night, it was only 3, the Kohuma Pride, which has managed to kill the male buffalo. Now all of them, they did call each other to be on one area. So if you can listen very carefully as the competition is getting high, because it's only few left, each and everyone wants to have a little bit peace. So they are sort of like a big noise. Let me give you that chance of silence moment to hear what they are. Yes, but earlier they were eating a buffalo, which made a kill from yesterday, a day before, by 3 female lioness. So those 3 lioness, they did manage to stay here the whole day yesterday until they joined by the whole pride, where they're starting to compete, as now As I said, the silence of movement. I told you that yesterday they were not fighting, they were giving each chance a turn. One go and eat and come back and relaxing, and another one go and eat, and they're making sort of like a 10. But now there is no chance for making them a 10 because there are plenty, each and everyone wants to get full. So I won't put that much words rather than the audio which they are making. That's I believe that each and everyone will be more interesting to hear that competition of feeding, how they are competing for feeding for themselves. Yes, we're gonna stay here for a while.
The most incredible thing just happened. Every single one of these elephants in front of us, and there's a lot, just reacted, trumpeting, and they all rallied round in a circle. It was very intense. That noise goes right through you, that trumpet. It wasn't at us, they're moving off. I think they got wind of a smell, or possibly a sound that we can't hear. I wonder if there's a predator in the area. It's amazing how they all rally round like that together, looking out for one another, always thinking of the herd, not of the individual. Many of these females will be mothers, and their maternal instinct will kick in to immediately protect the offspring. And even if they're not a mother, even if they're an aunt or a sister or a cousin, they'll still want to protect the entire herd. It's a big herd. Wow. I wonder what upset them. Because of course their hearing range is completely different from ours. Their olfactory capabilities are completely different from ours. But there was a definite reaction there. I'm going to give them a little bit of space before I drive. Elephants are known to sometimes displace their anger. And they're actually angry at possibly a predator in the area, a smell that they don't like, a sound that they don't like. But because you're there, you're present, they are known to sometimes take it out on the vehicle. But it isn't actually that they're angry at you. They're just in an emotional state about something else. JC, me too. You love the big herds. Me too. You feel their energy, their connectivity. And I'm just checking that there's not a straggler. I don't think there is. The last thing you want to do is position yourself in a herd or split up a herd. But I love the big herds too. And once they get too big, once they reach their own sort of carrying capacity, their own population maximum, they will split. It's really natural for big herds to split, and a new matriarch will form. But those two herds will stay in contact. It's not that they're separating and they won't have anything to do with one another. They will remain in contact. Okay, I'm going to try and stay with this herd a little while and then maybe scratch around the area to see if there indeed is a predator. And while I do that, we're going to send you across to Mike with his elephants.
Now just your phone is going. Look at this little baby sassy elephant who is so brave. She keeps coming right up to us close and she chases us a little bit. It's crazy cool. And the one behind her I think it's a female. I was just going to explain now. I think I can tell it's a female because you can see that the genitalia hangs down. It doesn't have a pouch that goes forward. But then maybe at a very young age it's not so easy to tell. I could be wrong, but I mean, it's sassy enough to be a little young female. Look at this thing. Pretending like it's eating, but you know that it wants to chase us a bit more. It's so cool watching these little elephants, you know, show off their sass, their bravery, their adventurous spirit. Oh, don't trip over now. You did so well up until that point. We had another little elephant, a little younger than this one, who was literally doing cartwheels, it seemed like, spinning around and twirling its trunk and, you know, going down on its knees and then jumping up. And there's a lot of exuberance this morning. I think these elephants are just having an absolutely phenomenal day. And we are as well, just to be so close to them. They seem like they're going to head down the slope now and start heading towards the drainage line, and then probably from there start heading towards Ndlovu Dam next to our camp. And we'll probably follow them there and just see if they come and drink. We might leave them for a short time, these elephants, actually, just to see if there's anything else around this area. I mean, they've been amazing. It's not often that we get to just spend a whole morning. I mean, what is it now? It must be around 8 o'clock or something. And yeah, we just spent the whole morning since sunrise with the same herd of elephants. And this one female that's now right in front of us, she was literally maybe 2 meters from our car, feeding on a small bush. Oh, there's that young male that first was mounting the other one. He's got decent tusks for a young male. He's probably not yet 20 years old. Oh, poking that elephant right in the butt. Move out of my way. See, this is the kind of behavior that gets them kicked out of the herd. So this elephant's probably around about 20, maybe a little bit younger. It's tall, but it's not yet broad. It hasn't got its huge muscles. And so it's hanging around with the herd, but the females won't tolerate him. He's not yet old enough to mate. They won't want this male elephant doing any nonsense with the young females. So he won't stick around. There's this one here. This one's got tiny tusks, so we talked about that one being maybe in its 20s or just late teens. This one here is probably just over 3 years old, maybe almost 4, because you can just see those tusks are just starting to emerge. And I've always read that when the tusks first emerge out of an elephant's under an elephant's trunk, that they must be somewhere close to 3 years old. You can see these tiny little stubs of tusks. Very pretty. Look at the skin as well. I love being so close to these elephants. You can just see all the creases in its skin, the little dimples, all the pores. You can really see how the muscles move underneath the trunk as well. It's really awesome. And we were saying now that the mother of this one here, who's in front of us, is quite wide, so we think that she must be, you know, in the mid to late stages of pregnancy. And that would make sense, because they usually give birth around about every 4 to 5 years once they start mating. And so if this youngster there is coming up to 3, maybe 4 years old, that means that maybe she's going to give birth in the next year. So you can see that belly. I can see movement there. I wonder if that's not the baby developing in its belly kicking. I don't know. I've never really been able to tell clearly, but every now and again you see like a little movement on its belly there, and I just wonder, is that the baby? I know that people have told me they can see the babies kicking. Oh, here comes that male. Don't cause trouble now, big guy. Or should I say young guy? See, he's about the same size as this female, and she's not a particularly huge elephant female. She looks quite old though. Her tusks are very long, and you see her forehead is very angular, so she's probably quite old. I wouldn't be able to say how old, maybe in her 40s. You know, female elephants don't ever get as big as the males. It's easier to tell with males because, of course, they attain that great size and width when they get around their 40s. But this male elephant's not much larger than this female, so he's not very big yet. Just throwing his weight around, as young men often do. You know, still learning their ways in the world, and they start to act up a little bit. But he seems to be being tolerated for now. He's not causing too much problems. He's remaining fairly calm. So in the meantime, whilst we leave these elephants and go down to Ndlovu Dam, we're going to send you over to Djuma and see what they're up to.
Yes, I believe that the ellies are fantastic as well. It's a big animals together with the babies. So right over here as well. They're still feeding as the competition getting more higher and higher, because now you can see there is no more space there. Each and everyone squeezed together in order to get a little bit more peace, as they see that now it is almost finished. So it's just only, sorry for that sound, it's another vehicle. It's not for the lions. So it is it was a big noise before we come over here, as they getting squeezer and squeezer and squeezer to get a space for each and everyone to have something to eat. Evenly the cubs, you can see they squeeze themselves to get inside. Whatever, if you look that other one, it's getting in together with its daddy and say, "Daddy, can I get a little bit peace?" You hear that sound. It's a big competition now. You can hear the audio. Kenny, the cats do have got a rough time. Yes, they have got a rough tongue. Especially for the lions, that tongue can evenly separate the skin together with the meat by just limping on that one. So it's easy for them, that tongue, they're using the tongue to take the skin off on the meat in order to eat the meat. So therefore they will go for skin if they are not full. Lions have got a very, very rough tongue. And that tongue, I would say it's a knife for them to take their skin off. I will reposition a little bit to see that other ones which are a little bit far, to see if it is more interesting.
So what I love about driving down a road is, okay, so what we're doing here, we're focusing on area for African wildcat that I know we've had good sightings in over the past couple of weeks, and not just Jandra and myself when he was still here, but a number of other people. I'm a habituators, we've had other sort of brief sightings in these areas. So those are the kind of areas that I'm focusing on to try and increase our chances of seeing something. What that means is you'll often go up and down the same road multiple times. And one thing that always blows me away is how you can drive down a road, not see something. You turn around and 2 minutes later, there it is. So what we got over here, there's a little steenbuck that's hiding at the base of that bush over there. And we drove down here literally, it was probably 4 minutes ago. Turn around, and here we suddenly see the steenbuck. It's just, you're at a different angle, the light might be slightly different, or maybe it's moved out of a bush or whatever. But the fact is that because you've driven a road, and you drive it again 2, 3, 4 minutes later, it doesn't mean you're not going to see anything. You can see something different whenever you go. And that's why I say, you know, and so often, you know, when I've had people out with me, they're kind of like, "Oh, but you know, we just did that road," kind of thing. You know, it's like, what are the chances of finding something? Well, you never know, and that's exactly the whole point. So that little steenbuck, she's sheltering here. It's actually a male. I don't know if you can see the horns from there. It's quite difficult to see. It's a small male. So he's actually just sheltering out of the wind. So the wind is coming from his right-hand side, and which is to the north of us. So all of those of you out there that are to the north of us, thank you for sending us this cool breeze. And maybe that's why we didn't see him. You know, we were driving the other direction. He's lying very, very cryptically camouflaged on the leeward side of that bush here, out of the wind. But if we can see things like this, so that size that you're looking at there, that height as that steenbok's lying down, if we can see something like that, is that cryptic, we've got a very, very good chance of picking up an African wildcat, because that's the kind of size and shape you're looking for. And Ned says he must be so cold. I think he is pretty cold, but again, you know, they're used to these environments. It's, you know, it's not like he's got a choice of lying in bed with 3 hot water bottles and a underfloor heating and a air conditioner and you know, this is what he does. He's a steenbok. They are tough as nails. They're used to these environmental conditions and extremes. That little guy will be sitting some days at 45, 46, 47 degrees centigrade. And then in winter you can be sitting at -6, -7. The coldest we've had here is -9. So that little guy's, you know, he's able to tolerate this massive range of temperatures. They do sometimes, and we've seen them when we do our aerial game counts. You know, we fly this whole reserve on a grid pattern. It takes us 4 days to do it. It takes a lot of time, a lot of energy. But we've actually seen steenbok coming out of burrows. So they don't burrow themselves, but they'll actually shelter down burrows occasionally as well in extremely cold, extremely hot temperatures.
Craig and I are having the best time watching this female. She has just created an entire roadblock from scratch. We've just been watching this whole scenario. She's having the best time breaking all this buffalo thorn and strategically placing it in the middle of the road. Slowly but surely, she's just creating this. It's obviously not intentional to block us, but it's been fascinating watching her do this. She probably heard on the radio that we wanted to get past to go and check out some leopard tracks. So she's decided, not today, you're not. Look at the way she's using her front leg. Girl, what are you doing? Now, buffalo thorn leaves are very nutritious. Humans can actually eat them. And there's a dish in the Maldives called telefai, where I'm probably pronouncing that horribly, but I can speak a little Divehi, and they pluck the leaves and they fry them, dry them in the sun, then fry them, and they are delicious. So during lockdown, I decided to make this dish for everyone in camp using buffalo thorn leaves. Really, really high in macronutrients and taste a bit spinachy, but delicious. But my dish didn't work. It was an epic fail, and I think only James Hendry decided to tell me that it was nice. Nice. Everyone else didn't want to say anything. It wasn't nice, but I tried. But this highlights what I was saying earlier. Elephants as ecosystem architects, ecosystem engineers. Broken this tree. Oh. Broken this tree, moved it to a new location, and it now means that the leaves from this young buffalo thorn are accessible to any ground-dwelling animals that are maybe not tall enough, or browsers that are not tall enough to reach those leaves. Now, buffalo thorns generally tend to be quite close to the ground anyway, but this elephant's created a new sort of temporary ecosystem here. Now, we are probably going to have to move these branches, sadly, or it means that no vehicle can go along these roads. But that's elephants' main purpose in an ecosystem. They shape the landscape. Emma, you'll need to repeat that one more time, I'm afraid. Seki, you're going to try and find some leaves. Yes, I think it has to be the right type of leaf. It's a very traditional dish from Maldives and it's just absolutely delicious. But buffalo thorn didn't quite hit the mark, but I tried. I actually researched all the nutrients that buffalo thorn leaves have, and it's a lot. It's quite extensive. Micro and macronutrients. Very, very good for you. So sometimes in camp, if we're walking past buffalo thorns, we'll just pull a few leaves off and pop them into our mouth. The state of my hands after plucking the leaves was not good. You can see that this elephant's avoiding the zigzag thorny branches. Just crunching on the sort of trunk at the base. She's been doing this for ages. She's very relaxed. I think I have the list of nutrients on my phone somewhere. I will try and find it for you at some point. But buffalo thorn is a really, really interesting tree in terms of nutrition. I actually have it here. So the macro minerals are calcium, phosphorus, magnesium and potassium, and the micro minerals are copper, manganese and zinc. So there's a lot of different nutrition, but it does vary in season. There you have it. So I'm not sure we're going to be able to get past this roadblock right now, but as we wait it out, we're going to send you across to the lions on their kill.
Yes, we still have got that competition of these ones. You can hear the audio. Those other ones, they are full. They just move on to the shade. So now it's getting less competition. But the sound is still getting higher. We're getting, as we reposition right over here, that we can manage to get the audio for them very well, very close as well. You can listen to the audio what they are. Yes, the vultures are plenty, evenly right over there, about 12 o'clock in front of us. There is also wooden vulture, which they just made in front about a minute ago. So, lots of vultures around this area, which they are still waiting. But no hyena yet. Maybe the hyena will come late as they are nocturnal animal, but it's not easy for them that they can come and wait right over here on this pride because they have got males. The hyena, once they look at the male one time, they're trying to hide for themselves because they know that once they're getting closer and the male doesn't have a shame to the hyena, as the male, it's his responsibility to protect everyone. They also have got to protect their food that the others they can manage to eat. So they do not have any shame for the hyenas. They do kill them. And the hyenas, they know that, we can't go there. For those bosses, the bosses, they're going to kill us. So sometimes the hyena, they do come very close if it's a female one, if she's alone. They sometimes even to win the food they can win because they're calling each other, come with a big number, more than 7 to 8, evenly more than 10 to 15. So it's easy for them that they can win. But where's the male one? Immediately the first one decided to move off, not at all to to play around on that, because they know that the male doesn't have a shame to us. So it is an opportunity that will show the vultures. I've got, I think it's only, I saw the wooden and the white-backed vulture over here. They are all waiting for them to get full. Once they get full, they can come. Yeah, we're still enjoying our lions feeding right in here on the same position.
So talking about lions on a buffalo carcass, so here at Ambient Ngala, which is not too far from Djuma, we also have a pride that has been feasting off a buffalo carcass. Now you can see this lioness that we're looking at the moment, look at how full her belly is. Basically looks like she's about to explode. And just off to our right, there's one of the males also just lying down. But just notice how big that belly is as well. So where the rest of the pride is quite a dense area, so we're just going to spend some time here and see if some of the individuals move out, and then we can try and reposition for another view. But for now, the only view that we have is of these two lions here. But early on with the trackers, as they found these lions, they mentioned that they saw a buffalo carcass as well. So we haven't seen that yet, so hopefully after some of them moved off, we can try and see if we can reposition and get a view of that. But for now, they are so full. And at least something like a buffalo will be able to sustain these lions. Because, I mean, buffaloes... So, especially with buffalo, and be able to keep these lions going for quite a bit. But I can agree with most of the viewers. They do look like they've swallowed balloons or soccer balls. They are massive. And the thing is, when they have a big meal like this, you almost know they're going to be here for the next little while. But for now, I just want to spend some more time with these lions, possibly see if there's another view of them. But in the meantime, Jared's apparently following or located some cheetah, so let's head across to him.
So this is a very, very exciting moment for me. These two male cheetah that we're busy following now. For one, it's the first time that they've ever been filmed on Wild Earth, which is very special. And it's also the very first time I've ever seen them. They are two new cheetah that have just been introduced into Phinda to increase or better the gene pool here. And they were introduced about a week and a half ago. And I am beaming with joy that we were able to find them. We actually happened upon them looking for a leopard. So while we were sitting with those lions earlier, we heard impalas alarming, and there was a leopard busy soaring. And it wasn't too far away from us. And when we were in that area of where the leopard was, we just had a quick view of two things running behind a bush. And we initially thought it was two lions. And it turned out it was these two cheetahs. Now, I think that the cheetahs had come across that male leopard, or the leopard, assuming it was a male by the rasping. And they were running away from it. And the whole time they kept looking back. You could see the male in the back end here. As he walks, he stopped and glanced back. That is the direction where they've come from. But we're now about 2 or 3 kilometers away from, or probably about 2 kilometers away from where we first found them. And so I think that they're far more comfortable now. They have been trotting for most of the time. But this is the first time that they've really just stopped and taken their time to walk along the road. It has been fantastic. They've settled into the new area pretty quickly. And we can tell that already by the fact that they've been scent marking. Now, there's that tree on the left. I wouldn't be surprised if that male doesn't go to that tree. It looks like a good tree to scent mark on. Let's see if he's going to listen to me. Nope. Yes, he's listening. That looked like a scent markable tree. And what has been quite interesting is the male in the front has been scent marking the whole time. And the male in the back hasn't scent marked once, which is quite interesting. So you see there, he went to the tree, investigated it, and decided that this is not the kind of tree I want to scent mark on. But he did have a little bit of a smell on the tree to see if he could smell if there's been any other cheetah coming past this particular tree. And all this is a new area for these males. Where they were released, I know that they went in a westwards direction and then a little bit north. And then they were seen yesterday morning, quite far from here. And so this is the first time that they've ever been in this area. So it's exciting for them and new for them and exciting for me. Over the next while, we're going to learn the characters of these males. And it does seem like the male that's in front, which is the darker male, is the dominant one. He's been leading the way. He's been scent marking the whole time. And so these two males are in a coalition. They're not brothers, in fact. They're a year apart. The one was born in 2015, and the other one was born in 2016. So, in 2015, one's 6 years, another one's 5 years. It's going to off-road. They've just gone off the road here, and we should get a pretty good view of them shortly. They've been walking on the road the whole time. All right, I do believe we're starting to lose a little bit of signal with some technical issues, so we're just going to go over to Mike, and hopefully you'll be back with me shortly.
That's so cool to hear about the cheetahs. I'm stoked about that. And another animal that has really cool patterns on its body, like a cheetah, is this giraffe. This giraffe looks like it might be a little bit pregnant. You see how round its belly is. I think she is probably going to pop very soon. There's no real breeding season for giraffes because the gestation period, as I mentioned before, is just under a year and a half, so about 15 months. And yeah, they might peak birthing around about the springtime, but it can happen at any time of year. As she walks off into the distance, you can just see those bright white ears, which is one of the ways they probably help to communicate with each other, giraffes. And you can see how her head stands above all the bushes and shrubs around, so they can communicate over huge distances. Oh, it seems like she's found something else that's tasty. I wonder what that bush is that she's eating. That looks very green. It's almost certainly something with thorns. In fact, I think it might even be a balanites, which is quite odd if it is. It's very difficult to tell from this incredible distance. It's amazing what the cameras can do to get up close with these animals, even if they're very, very far away. It's something quite green, and the only green trees that I've seen are the weeping boer beans and the balanites trees for the most part. A few quarries, whatever growing it, which is great. Two. Hi there. Looking over towards us. They've got great eyesight, of course. Being so tall, it means that they are able to see very far. So it's pointless being so tall and being able to see so far if you don't have great eyesight. So they can see each other from far away. And certainly the sun is behind us, but I'm sure we're silhouetted and she can see us as well. Look how it's holding its ears back. Maybe it's a thorny tree, holding its ears back to not get any branches and thorns. Leslie is asking if animals' eyesight's worsen with age. Definitely, Leslie, no doubt about it. Animals definitely get worse vision with age because they, well, you see them often. You see, especially buffaloes, we see their eyes go red and they struggle, and they're often, they don't even see us coming. Often when we're on bushwalks with our students, we'll be walking along and a buffalo will get up and it'll be able to smell us, but it won't be able to see us real clearly unless we're out in the open, which we try not to be. And if you've ever had, pets at home, you'll know that they also struggle to see. So definitely it worsens, and that makes them a little bit more alert with their hearing. But then again, their hearing probably also goes. So, yeah. But I mean, it'll be good enough. I mean, when an animal can't see or hear anymore very well, then it's not going to survive very long because, of course, it becomes a target for predators. So, you often find animals that are, let's say, blind in the bush, maybe blind in one eye, but they'll usually be able to see quite well with the other. Once they start losing their vision, it's pretty much game over. For the similar reason why we don't shine the spotlights on the daytime animals when we're driving at night, because their eyes are quite sensitive. But yeah, just exploring around. We'll see what else we can find.
So we managed to just find the rest of the pride here, where they are on that buffalo carcass. Remember the ones that the trackers called in a bit earlier. But what I want to do is I want you to listen to these lines, especially around the carcass, because there's no table manners. You might have heard that a bit earlier from that lion carcass around Yuma. But let's just have a listen. I just wanted to point out, just left of where the pride is, there's a little branch behind the one, young white male, and just behind that is one of the cubs lying down in the tall grass. But Rosemary, how fierce are those sounds? And how nice is this? So I just want you to appreciate this and just listen to the sounds. It looks like both the cubs are there, but we'll see how they react. Maybe the female, the mother's also amongst those busy feeding around the carcass. Like that young male, remember the one that has the bit of a lip, so he's now moving around. Let's see how the others are going to respond once he tries to get closer to that carcass again. stay here for the next little while and see like what these lions are going to be up to from here. I don't think too much. They'll probably just move and settle in, but it might be that they could be here for at least another half an hour or so. But in the meantime, let's head across to Dylan, because apparently he's looking at something very interesting in the ground.
So there is something here that really, really fascinates me. And it also just points to the absolute infinite variability in nature. And it's something I can never quite get my head around. So this tree that I'm sitting under over here is called the shepherd's tree. We've chatted briefly about them on previous drives. Very, very common species in this area, super abundant. And you get things, a lot of things feed on the leaves, and occasionally you get porcupines gnawing on the bark, nibbling on it a little bit, but very, very slight damage. What we're seeing on this tree, and this is a very old growth tree, it's got multiple stems, there's some right at the back there as well, but the porcupines have been absolutely smashing this individual tree. And why would that be when they've got so much else that they can feed on? And not just other species, but so many others of the same species in close proximity to this. And yet they choose this tree to focus on. Why is that? I would absolutely love to know. Is there some higher mineral content at this particular spot that's giving this tree some extra nutrients that they need? Is it just one colony of porcupines that has somehow figured out that this is a tasty individual tree? But even then, why would that be? Has it got more sugars in it? I don't know the answers to this, and but it's just really cool to see that. And yeah, it's difficult, you know, to get around here. But you know, this entire tree, wherever I'm looking, has just been hammered by porcupines. And in fact, I will try get out of here. Hold on, and I want to show you this piece that's actually in frame here has actually been detached completely. Unlike me, this whole root of this tree, okay, I will get out of here at some point, don't worry. That entire root has been gobbled off. Because I'm not quite as graceful as a porcupine, or anything else for that matter. But look at that. Hey, that's been properly snaffled. Yeah. And if I'll bring it a bit closer, you can actually see the fresh, there's even fresh gnaw marks over there. You see that? Yeah, there you go, look at that. This is quite comfortable. Oh, baby. Da-da. Let me put this big piece of vegetable matter down. Back where we found it. And there's even porcupine quills here. There's a porcupine quill. Cool, eh? Yeah, very, very nice.
We have a very mobile hyena carrying breakfast in its mouth. Jaws of steel. It's Swazi, everyone. Wire free. I think I'm going to try and go around and get him, Craig. He's really mobile. This way I have to go. He does not want anyone to take this delicious impala away from him. So he's awake, he's fed, and all is good in the world of Swazi. We just wanted to show you him. Oh my goodness, please don't take that into our camp, Swazi. I wonder if you can get a view from here, Craig. He's not going to stay still. He's very mobile with his delicious impala. We actually found him this morning. It was Craig and I that found him, and he was with Indabella, his sister, the twin from his litter. It's actually nice to see the two of them spend time together. Excuse the pose, we are outside camp, which is not ideal. But we just wanted to show you Swazi fat, happy, mobile, and wire-free. He's taken it right to the side of camp. Would you look at that? I think he's going to take it into the drainage. I'm not entirely sure we can follow. Annette, you are so welcome. Thank you for saying thank you. It was a huge team effort and it did take time. But of course, there's lots of decisions to be made. And the wire was not tight. But he's definitely wire free now. So I'll try and see if I can keep up with him. But I'm not sure it's going to be possible. So for now, back across the lions.
Yes, we are still right over here. Oh, together with those lions. The male one managed to chase everyone. I was sort of like making that big noise. You can see down there, evenly the cubs are moving off because he was just chasing each and everyone, as it was a little bit left to want to finish by himself. Now, if they're getting over there, he's just chasing them. So those other one, they're just waiting for him to give it. Maybe he will give them a chance to get a chance for themselves, to get a little bit on themselves. You can see this one. Can listen to this audio. But not that much. Actually, they still have got that much competition for feeding. That means someone is not yet full. So if they are full, all of them, there is no more competition. You won't hit any grounding. Look, like those who are full, they just walk away and relaxing, like over there. As over here, we have got two males. The blondie, it's here. And the other one is right over there, a little bit far, where they are all relaxing for those who are full. So those who can still stay over here, they still have got a little bit space to fill up. So guys, I'll send you to the elephant where you're going to enjoy some big animals. So we'll stay right over here.
This is a slightly larger animal, although a small version of its kind. This is that elephant that we've called Ivar. He's got that one very short leg. He's doing very well. He's here on the southwestern corner of Pride Lands. There's a few other bulls in the area. It's nice to see him doing well. You can see his right hip is a bit lower as he rests his weight on that leg. Actually, he's not even resting his weight on that leg. It's still hanging a few inches off the ground. but he's doing fine. The real reason why we stopped here is actually because we found the remnants of some Bushman's poison bulb, which I'll show you now. So this poison bulb that I've just put on the dashboard right over here, we actually found it in this exact spot. I've been waiting for a chance to actually do a segment with it because it's so interesting. So this particular plant, as you can see, is lots of very fine layers. Can you see that? It's got loads and loads of very, very fine layers. And these layers were actually used as wound dressings by traditional healers. You can use them to heal wounds. And even an infusion of these layers can be used as a painkiller, although it's really, really dangerous because if you're not a very trained traditional healer, you might put too much and it's very toxic. The reason why it's called a Bushman's poison bulb is because the traditional peoples of this area used to use this when it was fresh. It has a milky white latex and it's very toxic. They would toxin onto the ends of their spear tips and arrow tips, and when they go hunting, that arrow might just penetrate the skin of an animal, and they didn't need to, kill the animal just then and there. That poison would slow down the animal and give them time to follow it and track it, and then get it when it was weakened and finish it off, and then be able to take it back to the village for food. So the Bushman's poison bulb, really, really cool, really interesting. And now the scientific name is Buphone distica. Now the Buphone part is the Greek derivative is to do with fane, which is death. So they knew from a long time when they first found this that it was very closely linked to death, especially death of livestock, because of course if they eat this, it was very toxic to them. So even though it's very, very toxic, it has uses. I actually have a bit of a cut on my finger. I was thinking if I wrapped it in this, it might help me to heal. I don't know yet how exactly to do it. And of course, I'm not a very well-trained Sangoma or traditional healer, but it definitely has these properties. And we've seen baboons digging them up before to eat them, and porcupines as well. They seem to have stomachs that have just the right chemical balance to be able to eat this particular plant without suffering any ill effects. But certainly if I ate this, I would be very sick, especially when it was fresh. But the flower is beautiful though. Big red brush-like flower with perfectly fanned and symmetrical leaves. So if you ever see something that's perfectly fanned and symmetrical, it's most likely a Bushman's poison bulb. But in the meantime, I'm going to send you back over, I think, to Ngala to see what they're up to as well. It's very cool.
I'm not in Ngala, Mike. I'm at Pinda, but no problem at all. All of the places are just as wonderful. But we've managed to catch up with the two males, and finally they've rested up a little bit in the open area. And what actually stopped them in their tracks was in the direction they're looking now, maybe about 500-600 meters away, we could hear an Inyala alarming. Now that could mean that there's another predator in there. I don't think that Inyala spotted them. And maybe about 5 minutes ago, they spent quite a bit of time smelling the ground where I think another cheetah had been lying around, judging by the way that they had been smelling through that area. I'm not sure if it was a male or female, but maybe they're thinking that whatever that Inyala is alarming at could be another cheetah. Now, there has been a young male cheetah in this area, and these two males, who are probably about double his age, wouldn't be too concerned about him. But if they were to see him, they would most certainly try and chase them away. Because they have been scent marking here, so that is already telling me that these two males are thinking about making this part of Pinda their territory. I'm not aware in their short little time here on Pinda if they have come across another cheetah. At least there's no fresh wounds on these two males to indicate that they have had an altercation with a cheetah while they've been here. What I find fascinating about these two males is they are so easily to identify. Often with males in coalitions, you've really got to look hard to be able to tell which one's which male. But this male on the left is one of the lightest cheetah I've ever seen. He reminds me of a leopard that I used to see in the Sabi Sands called the Shivonakele male, which means the pale one. And this one most certainly is a very pale cheetah. He's also got a very different face to the male on the right. It seems like a lot more of a longer face, where he's member in the coalition, or male on the right, has a bit more of a boxed face. So with their color and facial ID, they are quite easy to identify the difference between them. Now, also looking at the wounds on these two males, the one on the right doesn't have too many wounds, and the one on the left seems to be a little bit scarred up, which is probably from each other. That would be my guess. Being around kills, they're not as aggressive around kills as what lions would be, but you do sometimes see them lashing out towards each other. But the time where you will see two males from the same coalition fight will often be when there's a female around and both males want to mate with them. And the one male will just swat at his brother saying, "This is my female, not yours." And unlike lions and leopards, cheetahs, their claws are semi-retractable, so they are always sticking out. And so when they do swat each other, unfortunately, they will cause a little bit of surface damage with those claws. But the claws aren't as sharp as lions and leopards, and that's because with a lion and leopard retracting their claw, Edward, it is a little bit of a Labrador face, isn't it? With the lighter color and sort of shape of his face, it does have a little bit of a Labradorish look. But the claws that I was talking about, the reason why a cheetah's claws aren't as sharp as a lion and leopard claws is because a lion and leopard are able to bring their claws in. When they walk, those claws aren't wearing down. Whereas a cheetah, when they're walking on the road, when they're walking through the grass, the tips of their claws will slowly be ground down by the soil that they're walking through. And so fortunately it's not as sharp for when they fight. But they would want to have sharp claws, because the sharper the claws, the better it is when they're trying to pull down their prey. But you'll notice when looking at these two males, which is a very typical behavior of cheetah, one faces one direction, another one faces the other direction, sort of having each other's backs, so to speak. Or in army talk, they'll say, "Watch my six," and that's exactly what they're doing. One can see one way, or the other can see the other way, and that creates the perfect 360-degree awareness, so they would know if anything's coming into the area. Because these two males on you, they don't know about the population of cheetah in this area, so for all they know, there could be another coalition or few coalitions within this area, so they have to be very, very aware. And on top of that, they have to worry about lions, leopards, and hyenas. So it's going to be an interesting couple of months for them to settle in. But I'm as excited as I'm sure as most of you are to see what these two males are going to get up to over the next couple of months, years.
Wild Earth relies on support from viewers like you to carry on broadcasting our daily live shows. A small donation goes a long way in helping us on our mission to connect the world with nature. Please visit our support page to see how you can help and become part of the Wild Earth family.
One of the little cubs just actually came and decided to lie down just behind one of the, looks like the youngest female, the one that has the white sister. So those two are, the other one is just sleeping in the back there, but we can't really see him from this angle. Hopefully later on he'll move. So early on I remember Raymond was mentioning something about vultures and hoping that there are some scraps that are going to be left after the lions move past. Now just off to the tree on the left of where these lions are, there's two hooded vultures that just landed up in the tree. And it won't be too long after these hooded vultures that we might see other species of vultures coming in, possibly white back, maybe lappet face, white-headed, but more likely the white back, because they're the more common ones you see, especially in this area here. I can actually see one of the cubs have moved down to the branch just left of where it was earlier. It looks like it might be the young male. See right down there. There he is. He's so well camouflaged. Like when he was walking the tall grass in the back, you could barely see him, especially whenever there's a bit of like shadow over him as well. But it's so lovely to see the whole pride together. I'm so glad that that young white female managed to find, her and the young male managed to find their way back to the pride. And of course, having the young cubs joining us again after they've been, remember there was a stage where they were like away for a month. And now we actually seeing them more and more with the pride. And you also notice with the young ones, they do look like they are quite skinny, and I think the reason for that is because the mum has been moving quite a bit in order to keep up with the pride, or trying to join up with the pride, and because of that they had to move quite a bit. So hopefully with them being able to catch something in close proximity from where they are now, or let's say over the last little while, then that means the cubs don't have to move that far, and that's of course a bit of it helps them in a way as well, just to keep their condition and not to move too much. Just listen to the different noises. I'm just gonna stay a little while longer with him and just enjoy the sounds and just enjoy the setting. In the meantime, let's head across to Lauren and see what she's up to.
Finally, I have managed to get this bird on camera. It's taken a lot of effort, but we have a black-headed oriole. Very yellow in color, just like the weavers, bright yellow, but with that signature black head and red eye. Now, it's not entirely plain ball, but it's definitely better than what we had earlier, and it has the most gorgeous call that I'll play for you in just a moment. Now, they're monogamous birds, which always surprises me, that they're so sort of deliciously colored. They're bright, they're warm, they're striking. You can see them in flight because of the coloration, and yet they're monogamous. They don't really need to attract to mate. They don't need to put much effort into that at all. But monogamy comes at different levels. We can have monogamy for life. You can have breeding season monogamous pairs, and then you can just have a sort of one-off monogamous pair that they'll maybe stay together for a little short time and then separate. But for the duration of that time, they're monogamous. So it comes on different scales, different ends of the spectrum. Okay, I'll try and see if I can play this call for you now. Are you ready? Isn't that lovely? I missed that name, but yes, it's not Oreo as in the cookie. That would be cool though, black-headed Oreo. Now you've got me thinking about Oreos. Surfy? But you're right, it's Orioles, so it's O-R-I-O-L-E. Oreo, black-headed Oreo. But now, just for you, I'm going to call it Oreo. Oreos are actually accidentally vegan, just in case anyone is interested in that fact. They're not intentionally supposed to be vegan, but they don't have any dairy in them. So there you go, fact of the day. Okay, I'm heading towards the den and hopefully we shall get some hyenas.
Yes, we are still right over here with some special. I believe that the viewers did enjoy the cheetahs and lions as well right over here. Now the competition is starting again. They're getting a little bit more and more and more closer. Those female ones, and just only, I think it's 2 cubs which are here. The rest cubs, they did move off. Yeah, it's only 1 cub left. So the rest cub, they are full. They're joining those other one which are full and lying off. So this one is sort of like a competition, which is now, it's only few bones and skin which they are. If you look very carefully, right over there, they are relaxing. Yes, it's enough. Let's listen to the voice, the audio. Yes, but the cubs, they want, if the fully grown one, they don't bother about the cubs. They just only for themselves, for competition. For the cubs, they do let them to eat as much as it is, especially for the female ones, because they need to raise them. So they don't have that much problem. They just only give them a space that they can manage to feed for themselves. So it's only those fully grown one. They're still enjoying. We'll stay together with my lions, feeding for themselves.
So one of the males just walked off a little bit to the left and laying down, and this male's now lying down in the exact same spot. I'm hoping we're going to see him stand up and move over to his brother shortly. But unlike male lions and coalitions, male lions at least tend to be far more physical, and that bond of being close to each other tends to happen far more than what you'll see with cheetah. To male cheetah, they'll lie up close to each other, but they're generally more than happy to lie 20-30 meters apart. Also will have some benefits to that as well. They do need to quickly spring up to hunt. And I suspect that they've lain in this open area to hopefully find something to feed on. While I've been watching them walk around, their bellies do seem quite empty. They have been walking around for about 2 hours at least that we know of. So they're most likely just trying to gain as much of their energy back as possible. And by staying in this open area, it serves as a way to stay safe. But also this is an area where they're probably going to hope to hunt an inyala or an impala that will be moving through this area. Seems like the male on the left. Alright, so apologies, I've been having some audio issues. I'm just going to send you over to Tswalu, who has some bat-ear foxes while we try to figure out what's wrong.
Okay, just sorry, I'm chuckling there because we had the most gorgeous little group of bat-eared foxes lying in front of the camera. A little bit of bush in the way, but it was just gorgeous. There were 3 or 4 of them all huddled together, and then as we went live, they just bombshelled. That was absolutely classic. Anyway, that was just a bit of humor there for the morning. It was quite sweet. So again, a lot of these animals are just lying in sunny spots in densely bushed areas just to try to get a bit warmer. It's quite chilly this morning, not as cold as it was yesterday, but it is still a little bit nippy, but it'll warm up quickly now. So I think today's going to be a lovely day. Yeah, today will be a good day. It better be. But yeah, anyway, so we're still looking for our wildcat. We are not giving up. Thank you, Camilla. That little glimpse that we got was very, very sweet. Yeah, I was hoping it would be a little bit longer because just the way they were like all piled on top of one another for warmth was so sweet. But let's carry on. Let's see if we can get a wildcat for you. I'm not giving up on this wildcat. And like Butterfly says it's one step closer to wildcat, and that's exactly the way to look at it. It's like, you know, the size of these animals, you know, the little things like that, you know. And if we're seeing bat-eared foxes, we're seeing tiny steenbuck, you know, all these little other signs, we can find a wildcat. We can do this. It's just going to be just putting in the hours. That's all it is. Anything you like in life, anything you love in life, you just need to put in the hours and you will get it.
The little cub, oh, as it heard its name, or as it heard little cub, it just got up and decided to lie down again. I think with this youngster particularly, he's too afraid to move closer to the rest of the pride, because you can imagine now, like, there's a lot of growling, there's a lot of snarling, so he knows probably just to keep a bit of distance until he grows a bit older, and then he'll probably be able to join. So he's slowly creeping forward. Looks like the one just grabbed the leg of the buffalo. It's so funny because the whole pride was basically trying to get us like a little bit of meat out from anywhere, from between the ribs, from like pulling the one leg. And eventually I think they might have just cut off that leg. And so this other one wasn't even with them, just walked around, picked up the leg and moved away from them. And now it's enjoying it behind just this bush. But have a look at the young cub just going to investigate. See how he's just slowly creeping closer. He doesn't want to get too close, but he's also very curious. It's just nice to be able to hear all the different sounds. You can actually hear as they, even if they've pulled off some of the meat, their tongues are really hard. It's almost like it sounds like sandpaper whenever they do lick them, some of the bones. What I'm trying to do is I want you to listen out for that sandpaper noise as they are licking, because those little barbs on the tongue, it actually is able to tear little bits of meat off. I know with quite a few of the viewers, like there's some comments about how nice it is to see the comparison between those little lions and especially that young male, just to see how big and he would be and how small they are in comparison. And who knows, this could be in another 3-4 years time, that young male could be as big as this male that we're looking at now. But even, I mean, this white male here, you'll notice that he's also slowly starting to develop his mane, and pretty soon he's also going to be quite a big lion. He's already big as it is. I mean, he's probably the size of a lioness at the moment, quite a fully grown lioness, but he still has a lot of room to grow.
So we were driving along here and we actually found this little piece of wild cotton hanging on this plant over here. And I actually collected a few other bits of cotton recently to try and show you all. But here you can see there's bigger pieces of wild cotton with their little cap on there. And it's super interesting because we don't often find big clumps of these, and just to see one like this was really cool. And they tend to grow in little thickets, but right now most of the cotton is not on the tree, it's fallen down. But this stuff is really useful. You know, cotton, as you know, is often used for clothing and stuff, and it's grown commercially in different places in the world. But this cotton here, supposedly, and I don't know if it's the same ones that they use commercially, but this was the one that's found here in the southern part of Africa was the first cotton species found that was used in a cultivation in order to mass produce it. However, I've done a bit of research and I found that the cotton variety that we get here, this wild cotton, the fibers are too short. I don't know if you can see it very clearly, but when you pull these off, you can see the fibers are super short. It's just a little fluffy tuft there, not very long, so not very useful for making garments, but very, very fluffy. One use of wild cotton that I know of is that this fluffy stuff, when you pull it off the seed, is incredibly flammable. So I've got a little tinder box that I keep when I'm going to go camping. And in order to make fires the traditional way, using a stick and some friction, actually use this as some of the tinder. It catches incredibly quickly, a little bit of a spark or a flame, and this goes up like wildfire. And yeah, it's great to see. We were talking about it just now. Sometimes you grow them in huge clumps. I actually wonder if I do a bit more research if it was used for any other types of things. I mean, certainly you won't find a lot here now, but if you pull this off, you can see the soft stuff. Maybe they used to use it for stuffing like under blankets and things, or maybe even in pillows. I mean, most traditional Africans wouldn't have used pillows as such, but certainly maybe for making warmer garments in the colder regions of southern Africa. Who knows if they would have used something like this. It doesn't grow in abundance, but if you could collect enough of it and you had nothing else to do apart from make things, you can certainly make this into something very warm, I think. But as you can see, it grows in this little cap here. If I can pull this off, and you can see in there's a 3 sort of sided pod that cracks open when it gets dry, and you get the cotton seeds that were in there, and they fluff out like this. And we've got this little fluffy ball, and you can see the seeds are actually inside this, and these seeds catch the cotton itself is actually used by the seed in order to disperse, so it catches in the wind and floats down and spreads the seeds. And other animals also use this now, not only. Oh, that's just what I was going to say. So apparently a lot of you are asking if they use this, or if birds use this for nests. I was literally just about to say sunbirds use these for nests quite often. The Marico sunbird especially is well known for using the cotton from these cotton plants, the soft stuff, to make its nest. It weaves it all together into a clump, often using spider web as well to make these things. Another bird which makes nests out of soft material like this cotton would be the penduline tit, the grey penduline tit. They also make a very, very soft, fluffy nest out of this cotton, and they often make a false entrance. So they'll literally clump the cotton together like this, And there'll be an entrance which they can only find by pushing their beak underneath the cotton, and then it opens up and the bird can get inside there. And they'll make a false entrance, which is super cool, which looks very obvious, that things like snakes might try and get into, and then they'll see there's no egg inside there and then think that's an empty nest and disappear. So wild cotton has so many cool uses. If you ever do see sunbirds, have a close look at the nest of what it's made with. I'm going to send you over to Dylan in the meantime. He's also looking at some cool plants, though.
So what we got here, and we were chatting briefly about the acacias that are going to start going into flower or blossom in the next couple of weeks. And this very one that I'm standing over has got exactly that. There's tiny little flower buds and leaf buds all over this. So within, I reckon, the next 4 weeks or so, it is going to be spectacular out here. Like, as in, it's going to be a wonderland like you've never seen before. But in the meantime, this little guy, it's just a really, I'm getting hooked to it. It's a very, very nice example and a very clear example of mistletoe. But the other ones that we've been looking at have been like kind of larger, established ones. So this is just a brand new one. This may be like 1 season old. So it's still got a long way to go. It's got a lot of life left in it. And it's going to be spectacularly beautiful as it develops and matures. And it's going to be covered in these beautiful red flowers. So this is just a nice little one to see how it's actually attached to this branch over here, and it's just making an incredible go of growing. And now, as the sap is rising in these trees, as the days are getting warmer, these acacias are going to be putting out will have a lot of nutrients in them, and it's going to be ideal for these mistletoes. And I am standing right underneath it, eh? My goodness, can you believe it? Let me. Aussie lady says she's excited to see some butterflies. I'm going to show you some of the most beautiful butterflies on Tswalu over the coming weeks. A lot of them come out just after the rains, but even early in the season when these start blossoming, you're going to get butterflies coming out. But in fact, these mistletoes, they are host to a couple of these, what we call the blues, these tiny little beautiful blue butterflies, stunningly patterned. And yeah, they're going to, so, well, when I say they're host to it, in fact, what I mean is when this gets larger, the tree puts out a lot of energy and nutrients into that area, so it forms this big growth over there, which is hollow, and you get these little ant colonies called cocktail ants. They live inside there, and then the butterfly larvae actually stay inside those ant colonies, and they come out and they feed on the mistletoe leaves at night. So these mistletoe are critical for the survival of these butterflies.
So these two males haven't done much. They're still lying in the exact same spot, but they have been glancing westwards from our direction, and I have noticed a herd of zebra that has moved through that area. So because these are two new males, we don't quite know what they enjoy. But zebra foals, I think for any male collision, is up there on the menu. And so they're probably just having a look at that herd, seeing if there's any in that herd that they could potentially hunt. But the herd has moved through the open area, in the area that they're looking at, and they didn't show too much interest, which probably tells me it was all just adults. And so they're probably not going to waste energy going all that way for something that they can't hunt. It is starting to warm up now, but I don't suspect today is going to be a very hot day. As it does start to heat up, if it does turn into a hot day, I wouldn't be surprised if they don't move off to some shade nearby. This is a very small patch of open area, but if it remains cool like this, they could very well just lie straight where they are. Particularly this lighter male on the right, he's actually got a bit of a better advantage than his partner. I keep wanting to say brother, because normally when cheetah on collisions, it is brothers. But in this case, it's his partner, and his partner is slightly darker. But you'll see in winter, when the grass is yellow like it is now, I think it's going to favor this male, who is of the lighter color. But it'll be interesting to see over time which of the two are more successful in stalking.
Just have a look at these two vultures, these two hooded vultures. You can see they are constantly looking down, just waiting for those lions to move so they can go and pick some of the bones. But today they'll have to be patient because it doesn't look like these lions want to abandon any little bit of this carcass. They're trying to get out as much as they can. Actually looks like the one male, so this young white male, has actually started with the tail of the buffalo. And he's slowly starting just to pull it apart. Dave, it's been a real treat being able to spend some time with these lions. And just, I mean, in general, there's just so much that we've learned from them. I mean, with all my experience previously, I used to guide in quite a few different places up in Botswana. I spent quite a bit of time in Botswana. I spent some time at Pinda. And with this pride, it's like the more we spend time with it, the more we learn, because what I've noticed from all the different areas is each pride of lions will have, of course, general characteristics that say that they are lions, and they will follow certain traits that all lions will have. But each and every pride and each and every individual within the pride are different. And it's so nice being able to spend time because you learn so much from them, and especially their movement, how they interact around the carcass, how they treat the other males within that pride, or how they tolerate them. But definitely just been an amazing morning being able to spend some time here.
We stopped to say hi to the monitor lizard, but look, the giraffes are drinking. Oh, they were. This is the same three from quarantine that we had this morning. I think it's an older female, a slightly younger female, and then an even younger one. You can sort of gauge by size. One is very young. Isn't that so lovely? And we were discussing animal communication at length yesterday, and giraffes are very, very interesting in that respect because they do communicate. They absolutely do. And they're said to be sort of socially aloof, so they enjoy spending time in one another's company, but they don't have tight-knit, permanent herds. It's very sort of loose aggregations. And it's only recently been proven that they sort of, well, it's been termed hum. They hum to one another at night time, but it's completely out with our hearing range, so we can't hear it as humans. But of course we can use technology to try and capture those sounds, and they talk to one another all night long. Isn't that wonderful? And it's probably just to remain in communication with each other for safety. Nighttime is the time of the predators, of course. That's exactly the time that you're going to want to know what's going on, who's around, what threats are present. So they call it humming. I just imagine a giraffe going, but I don't think it quite sounds like that, unfortunately. But it's completely out with our hearing range. Humans cannot hear it without the use of specialized technology, and they do it all night long because they're one of the sleepless animals we have out here. Aha, everyone, what a successful morning, especially with Swazi. Breakfast is calling, so I am going to send you across to Raymond to close the show.
We believe that those other male, they are full, and this one, they just almost finishing the carcass as they are still right over here. Competition is getting a little bit more higher and higher. That will be less about their food. They're going to finish up over here. As the competition getting low, somehow they fall. You can see right over there, someone have some bone, and notice they'll be almost going to relax, as evenly the sun is getting to be a problem for them. So guys, as I believe that you did enjoy our show. Everyone, if you got a question, you're welcome to ask on hashtag or comments to hashtag WildEarth. We'll see you this afternoon. Goodbye.